What's up, everybody? Welcome to SkillWarz, a closer look. I'm impossybull, and today we're going to be looking at all the things about movement in SkillWarz. Now, some basic stuff to start out with. The normal walking speed is 5 meters per second, just like this. And then when you aim down sights, you move at 3 meters per second. So that's 60% of that speed. As far as I'm aware, there's no difference between different guns in the game on how fast you move while aimed down the sight. A lot of games, like, you move faster with pistols, you move slower with machine guns or whatever. As far as I've tested, there's absolutely no difference in this game, so don't worry about that. If you use the Move Faster ADS perk, you will move at 5 meters per second, the normal walking speed, instead of 3 meters per second. So FYI on that. The sprinting speed is 8 meters per second, which is coincidentally the same speed as minecarts move in Minecraft. Now, before I go on to this next part, there's the question, what's the fastest way to move in SkillWarz? And then also, put these 3 ways of movement in order of how fast they are. This is just in case you're curious. But the list is regular sprinting, sliding as much as possible, or sprint plus, like, sprint jumping everywhere. Okay, so both of those were actually trick questions. We're going to start with the second one first. The time it takes to sprint somewhere versus sliding everywhere is the exact same amount of time. I tested this a few times. It is the exact same or extremely close, such that I tested over 100 meters. So that's over like 12 seconds. I couldn't find any difference. So you'll end up moving. Of course, slides you move faster to begin with. That's the whole point of sliding. But you don't move any faster in the long term. Now, sprint jumping. In this game, when you jump, your movement just does not change. So, jumping while sprinting just makes you move at the normal sprint speed the whole time. There are some games, like Minecraft, for some reason you move slightly faster while jumping and sprinting versus just normal sprinting. Don't really know why, but that's not in this game. You know, jumping while sprinting can still have some advantages. It allows you to keep your weapon up so you can aim a bit easier. And it's also slightly harder to shoot people that are jumping all the time. Of course, it has the disadvantage of that when you're trying to actually shoot, you know, you're going to go like this as soon as you land. But in terms of movement, like I said, all those are the exact same speeds as 8 meters per second. Now, the first part. What is the fastest way to move in SkillWarz? Well, that's a 3-way tie, so you might have guessed it's actually not that. It's this thing called sprint jumping. My bad. It's this thing called slide jumping, and it looks like this. So yeah, that's probably one of the weirdest things you've ever seen, but it takes advantage of the fact that when you're jumping, your movement speed no longer changes. So you get the faster part of the slide at the beginning, and then you jump so that you don't have to go through the slower part of the end of the slide. However, that's pretty tricky to pull off. If you're wondering how you do it, you press W and Shift at the same time, which just makes you sprint like this. And then what you do is when you want to slide, you spam the space bar. It's kind of hard and tiring to do with one hand. But, and you only move about 9 meters per second. So it's not a huge advantage, just normally. However, when you're going down a hill is where this kind of comes into its element here. And there's actually, I found a couple spots, it's really uncommon. But I did find a couple spots that are really only accessible if you use this tactic, as far as I'm aware. So when you go down a hill, it looks like this. So you can see we get to the bottom there way faster than if we were just sprinting down there. Of course, sliding down hills normally makes you go pretty fast. But this one is, again, slightly faster overall, as far as I'm aware. So here's an example of where you can use this to your benefit. So if you're a returning player, you may not have played this map in a while. If you're a new player, you might not even know this map exists. It's Prototype 16. It's, I think, the smallest map in the entire game. So there is one spot. So like I said, this is not very common, but I did want to show this off here. There's at least this spot here that you can only get to while doing this trick, and it's actually where I just jumped out of here. So this part is normally inaccessible. It's just slightly too tall to be able to mantle onto, but you can do this trick here and actually like fly right into it. It looks pretty funny. Get that mantle on there. So I can guarantee you, like I said, of course this map is not played that often, but if you play someone on this map, they will never expect you to do that. Unless they've seen this video, I guarantee you they will not even know it's possible. And of course you do have to get the timing right there. For this particular one, you actually want to jump a bit farther down the ramp, not like immediately. But to maximize your distance, you usually want to jump pretty soon. And then another example is here. So here we are with Sprinter and Low Gravity. Now this trick is not a huge game changer, but it does throw people off. You end up moving slightly faster doing this trick than if you just jump while sprinting. And of course, because you start with a slide, you end up covering a pretty big distance where you're very difficult to hit because you're either sliding or moving very quickly through the air. Yeah, so you can get down here in just about warp speed. This also works if you're just coming out of spawn here, for example. It basically works especially any downhill ramp. And you can just fly right out of there. That's especially good if someone's camping down here. Because a lot of times if someone is camping over here, they will try and hear when people are coming, and you'll be moving much faster than they will be expecting you to. You just pop on them right here. They'll think you're like halfway there. So this can be a good trick sometimes. So that's all I have about movement in SkillWarz. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. This is part of a whole series I have coming out. So if you enjoyed this, do make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the rest. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you later.